Last Monday, I asked you to ask me anything for a chance to be featured in a video. I figured this would be a great way to celebrate 6,000 subscribers on YouTube that we just recently hit, as well as an opportunity to explore this idea for future videos where I might bring along some pro players to answer questions alongside me. Thank you so much, seriously, from the bottom of my heart. It means a lot to help so many people, and I hope with Overwatch 2 we can continue to grow together and meet other like-minded players with positive attitudes. Moving on, I have received a ton of different questions with different topics, so I will try to segment different sections of the video to specific types of questions. Overwatch related ones going first, followed by life advice and more personal or funny questions. If I didn't answer one of your questions, I will respond in the comments down below. Just ask again. With that all out of the way, let's get started. Starting off with Shocker, I get this question a lot, but I figure it would be a good one to ask. What would be the top couple of heroes for each role to climb on in ranked? Obviously there are some situation specific things, but yada yada yada. Okay. I mean, this is kind of difficult because it's different depending on the rank that you're in. I think for most players, for tank, Roadhog does really well, and we've seen that recently. He kind of can just go on the flank and do things on his own, but obviously main tanks or off tanks that are meta picks at the specific time would also be decent to play, but I think Roadhog's pretty consistent. As for DPS, I think hit scan's always going to be decent, but characters like Tracer or maybe even Soldier, something that's more self-sufficient, can also help, especially at the lower ranks where your teammates might not be as strong of players. And then lastly, for support, I would say I think Ana does really well at low ranks, but Baptiste, Zen, or any other meta picks become better and more strong once you hit Masters, I would say, is probably the best way to look at it. Really, it's Ana, Roadhog, and any self-sufficient DPS at lower ranks, but then meta becomes a lot more important when you start climbing in the ranks. Second, we have Quez. If your goal is to improve as fast as possible, how would you split your time between playing, watch stronger players learn, VOD reviewing your own game, and aim? Okay, this makes sense. It's kind of a mix of everything, but I think the most important thing is you have to really self-assess yourself. You have to make sure that you understand when you actually are playing what you're trying to accomplish, and this is why I recommend taking notes in some of my other videos. Taking notes kind of makes it so that when you are spending all that time playing the game, that you're not really spending so much time wasting it, just playing the game and not doing anything. I think aim training is a great way to warm up. Kovacs might be important to you, might not be. It's all on a situational basis, but I think 80% of the time you're probably going to be grinding it out, but that 20% of the time is what sets up that 80% of the time that you are grinding out to really be efficient, which is watching stronger players play, watching your own VOD reviews. That's kind of like a 20 to 25% that sets you up to really get the most out of when you're like really hardcore playing. This question's from Fuel of Death. HLC and Paris get tons of hate, but one can argue that any disadvantage or advantage for one team will be the same for the other team the next round. Shouldn't we embrace the challenges that those maps present? I think this is a really good question, but there's kind of a reason why these maps are just kind of subpar compared to the other ones. So, I mean, if we remember, specifically Paris, I'll start with first. Bastion was just kind of like the comp you had to play. Any other comp is really difficult to really pull off. I don't really think, the thing is that the map design is very one-dimensional, and it doesn't allow for a lot of outplay. I mean, in that sense, both sides do have to play it. I just think that there were some tweaks that these maps needed, and they just were overall low quality maps. A map like Junkertown is a good example of a map that allows for different types of compositions, but the map quality is not terrible. Like Paris, for example, you have one choke, and it's very oppressive for the defensive side, where it's just not as fun to play or watch, in my opinion. I think that these maps could have gotten changed for the better. It was more so the fact that it was kind of, these maps are kind of unanimously hated through the player base, and Blizzard probably didn't want to deal with them. I think Paris is kind of one of those maps that's like, yeah, no, that's just not a good map. There's too many one-way chokes, and sure, both teams do have to defend, but it's not good map design compared to HLC, which I think had some potential. They just needed to tweak a little bit of things. Maybe I'll make a video about this. I'm not sure. I hope this answers your question. I think it's just poor map design that allows for different comps, but not in a fun and engaging way. And it just kind of got a lot of hate, and the developers didn't want to deal with it. Moving on, Raggy for real. Which support hero is the best to carry with in each rank? Definitely Ana in most ranks. I would say until Masters, I think Ana's aggressive potential and just anti-ing teams so that they can't get healed. People don't know how to react to that. Even in Masters a little bit, I would say. But when you get to Masters and Grandmaster, it changes on per meta. I think Baptiste has been the most consistent, but Brigitte and maybe Zenyatta as well could be decent. Thing is, for example, Brigitte's not going to be as good in lower ranks because people don't really know how to utilize her strength, in my opinion. But yeah, let's move on. Will you ever become a Moira one trick? No, that's just not happening. I'm sorry. Just a guy who loves video games and movies, and you know what? I commend you for that. But do you think Overwatch League and Overwatch 2 will be as big as it was in Overwatch 1? That is, do you think Overwatch has passed the peak of its popularity within gaming culture? This is a really difficult one to really answer because I mean, I'm not really sure. I haven't seen Overwatch 2 yet, but what I will say is that it has the potential to. Will it actually lead up to that? I'm not sure. It really depends on like, do big streamers like Tim the Tatman and I don't know who else use like Moon come back to Overwatch and like watch the Overwatch League? Because if they do a really good job, even a game like Halo that's kind of like had an okay release, most of the big streamers were like all about it. They were all over the game. They were like, holy crap, this is like the next big esport. If we can have that reaction with Overwatch 2 to Overwatch League, and Overwatch 2 actually does what Overwatch 1 did in the past, like they say they are going to like bring back that constant updating structure, I think it really could do really, really well. It might even do better. I mean, one less player on the field is going to be easier to kind of understand from someone that doesn't play Overwatch. So I mean, it has that potential. It's really going to be up to, does the quality of Overwatch 2 stand for years to come? And I'm hopeful that they will. I think that the team understands what it takes, and I think they're willing to do it. Might be copium, but you know, I'm a content creator. You get what you get here. Moving on to the next question, Uneven asked, how do you stay focused and not autopilot in ranked games? This one's kind of a difficult one because it's different on a player per player basis. I think the most important thing to not autopilot in ranked games is understanding tempo and kind of understanding how fast your composition wants to play, and then understanding how your character kind of interacts with that comp, because it kind of forces you to think differently every single game and it'll keep you on your toes. As for role specific things, I think for like main tank, you want to make sure that you're communicating with your team. Where do you want to rotate to? Off tank is like understanding, hey, is my backline safe? When can I get aggressive? When can I not? Hit scan and flex DPS is a lot of communication stuff if you're skilled enough to communicate and hit shots, but a lot of it is just like hitting shots and making sure you're following your main tank and providing value with the space they're making you. In terms of main support, alt tracking could really help. I know that helps a lot of main support players is if they're alt tracking in game. Flex support is kind of the same as DPS, where it's just making sure you're following your team and getting the most done, calling your anti-nades, yada, yada, yada. But one thing I would say, tempo is probably the best way for anyone to get better at not autopiloting, because I think everyone kind of has this problem from time to time. Now we're moving on to some Twitter comments. Matt just said, I have no idea what supports to practice more for Overwatch 2 to have more value. Pick one flex support hero that has potential to become a main support in Overwatch 2. I don't think that is how it's going to work, where we see flex supports moving to main support, but if I were to give people a support to get better at, that's from the flex support category, I would probably say Zenyatta is a good one to keep in your arsenal and maybe expand it to Ana. I doubt Ana's going to be super great, but I think Zenyatta will be. It's either Ana or Zenyatta that are going to get a lot of love coming into Overwatch 2. Thing is, I can't really tell for certain because, I mean, they might add a new support hero that's really good. The tanks that they might add might be really good with different kind of support combos. What I would say is probably Ana and Zen are your best bet. I don't think Moira and Baptiste really fit the meld of what Overwatch 2 is going to bring us, and more aggressive supports are needed. A great question from Dor to go into the next topic. Hardest comp to execute in Overwatch history. And to him, it's Ball Diva, which I mean, I can kind of get that. Coordination has to be through the roof, yada, yada, yada. Okay, cool. Hardest composition to execute in Overwatch history. Goats is up there when you're playing at the highest level. And if you guys don't know what that is, it's 3 tanks, 3 supports before 222 was out. That's definitely a difficult composition to kind of pull off from a team-based perspective. But honestly, I'm going to probably have to agree with Dor here that the Ball Diva, specifically the Summer Tracer, is probably one of the hardest ones to execute because it does take a lot of the team. And there's a reason why I made the Zen Break for Dummies guide on this channel, because I think that composition is often misunderstood. I think that with that composition, it requires a great deal of mechanical skill, more so than it did in Goats, as well as that team coordination concept that Goats also kind of provided and made a big name for itself as a composition there. There are some other difficult comps, like just dive in general. You could argue that Double Bubble is also one of the hardest compositions to play, which I would say that either comes in first place or close second, just because you have to understand how the tempo ebbs and flows and when it is time to get aggressive and when it's time to just chill and power yourself up with the Zarya and get your nano online. I think either Double Bubble or Ball Diva probably is, they probably are the most difficult compositions to pull off, but to give one for sure, that's difficult to really quantify. Magi, all right, we're gonna rapid fire through this. No, Overwatch 2 will not fix your marriage. Will Flex support suffer with? Maybe they will suffer. I'm not quite sure. I think it's going to be a lot more about can the supports peel for themselves than just the off tanks. There really should be a rank reset going into Overwatch 2. It's a completely different game. I really hope so. What is your genuine take on 5v5? No copium allowed. Or here, let me get my copium out. Okay, that's the last little help I needed. I think 5v5 will be good for the game. I don't think, for the sake of Overwatch's popularity, I think it will be good. Do I think it's going to be Overwatch anymore? No, I don't think it's gonna really feel like it. I think it's gonna feel really different. I'm hopeful that it's good. I'm more on the hopeful side. Will Blizzard actually be more communicative? I mean, I think so. They already have been. They just released the Sojourn origin story, which is great. And will my game be better than Overwatch 2? Well, only time will tell for that. Moving on to Not Benji 07. Okay, so I've always wanted to ask you this question, but did you ever just want to quit playing and making content after getting burnt out? And like, was this your emotional process for the third place open attack? Yep, yeah, I feel you there. Love the content and everything you do. Been here since 600 subs. Don't plan on leaving. Much love, Not Ben. But let me explain what this is all about. Do I ever feel like just quitting playing and making content after getting burnt out? I will say that burnout is definitely something that everyone kind of struggles with. I don't think I've ever wanted to completely quit playing the game or making content, more so just kind of like taking breaks. It's definitely difficult when, you know, all the stuff came out about Activision Blizzard and like numbers go down, yada, yada, yada. But the more and more I do content, the more I realize that I'm not really here for the numbers. I'm just here to help people out. So I think burnout isn't really too big of a problem for me anymore because I'm not really infatuated with the numbers so much anymore as I am just helping people out. And I would say the emotional process to get third place in Open Division, I don't think the third place was necessarily so much of a heartbreak for me as just like not getting to play with them anymore and like people moving on. I think that's probably what the most difficult thing for me to do was when I actually retired for an indefinite period of time, when I just stopped playing in the Path to Pro. I think that was probably what hurt me the most because that was well after the third place in Open Division when we all just, you know, split up. I think that was probably the hardest for me because I've been playing for those people for like years, and I decided to stop doing the Path to Pro and pursue content more specifically. I think that was probably the most difficult thing for me to do, and it was kind of like retiring from Overwatch League, just, you know, on a much smaller scale. I know another question might come up. Will I go back? Probably when I finish college in 2 years. I kind of want to pursue content and also maybe pursue the Path to Pro as well. But, you know, only time will tell if I want to continue doing that. But great question, Benji. Let's move on to the next one. Harvey Moore says, how do I stop being toxic in game and in real life? I think what you have to kind of understand about being toxic is that you have to kind of stop it at the source of what's making you become toxic. So if you're really annoyed at your teammates and like you're all like, oh, my teammates are always bad, I think the most important thing to do, as cliche as it is, it might be important that you actually just focus on yourself. I know that a lot of people say, hey, worry about yourself when you're trying to rank up, but it helps you get better as a player, but it also helps you not be as toxic because you're not really focusing on what everyone else is doing, and there's no real need to get in their business. You can just kind of focus on you. You know what, if you lose the game, whatever, you just go next. A lot of what it is that each game of Overwatch, if you have someone that's just not doing their job, you can avoid, you can go next. It's 25 SR in the grand scheme of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of SR, because you're going to play the game a lot. In real life, it's kind of the same story. You just kind of have to focus on yourself. If you know that you're toxic around other people that you might generally not like, you might want to try to find ways to avoid those situations because you're kind of just not yourself when you're around them, and just kind of be real with yourself. If you're really toxic with a friend or you have a really toxic friend group, you have to kind of look inward and be like, you know, am I really happy around these people? Do they really make me feel like I'm a better person? Maybe it's better if I go elsewhere and just like do my own thing. Because I don't think a whole lot of people genuinely want to be toxic. I think it's just kind of the situations they put themselves in, and they just need to kind of reflect and then they'll go from there. I hope this answers your question. Let's move on to the next one. VeggieTale Dan said, why do you play video games? And moreover, why did you want to become a video game content creator? This is a good one. Why do I play video games? That's a really good question. I could just go no, never mind. I mean, I love video games at the end of the day. It sounds cringe, but I do love what I do. I just kind of, I don't know, it was just something that me and my brothers did. I've literally been playing video games ever since I gained consciousness when I was 3. So I haven't really gone through life without playing them and without having a passion with them, which is kind of weird because I don't really know what it would be like if I just stopped. And I mean, I just started going outside. I mean, I already do go outside, but you know. But what made me want to become a video game content creator? I don't really remember who exactly. I think I used to be a Destiny player. I used to watch a lot of Nkooch, if anyone knows who Nkooch is. I think that was like the first YouTuber I watched every day, and he was just an insane player, but it wasn't like I wanted to become some big content creator. I mean, it sounds like a cool idea. I mean, I love Tim the Tatman now, and I've been inspired by like XQC and other people when I was growing up. I think it's more so why I want to be a content creator is because I just want to help other people, while maybe before I wanted to be like the big streamer man. I just don't think that's exactly what I'm pushing for anymore. I think it's like, you know, I just like helping people out, and that's kind of what I want to do. I mean, I don't really know if it needs to be much more in depth than that. I just love helping people, and you know, I'm good at Overwatch and I like playing Overwatch, and it just kind of works out that way. Shrike, also the one crazy pedestrian dude. Paz, in your opinion, what is the most important thing you need to do to get into college? And also, more importantly, what's the best thing on toast? Best thing on toast, peanut butter and bananas. Okay, moving on to your actual question. The most important thing that you need to do to get into college, I know I have some younger people that watch these videos. I think the most important thing is that you make sure that you're getting involved and your life is not just get good grades and play Overwatch. It's very important that you join clubs, that you meet people, maybe you do community service, maybe you do theater, maybe you do other sports. I think it's really important that you just expand your horizons and you find out what you really want to do. And while you're in high school, you really spend that time to really get good at what you like, because it's really important that you have those skills going into the future, because the more time passes, the less time you have to really hone in on what you enjoy and the skills you have, because you have a lot more responsibilities. So the name of the game is keep good grades, but also make sure you're staying involved and you're seeing the world as much as you can, even though you're just in high school. Vigster, I might say this wrong, Vigster, I don't know. Best 3 dishes on 3-course dinner? I am a Red Robin fan, so I'm just going to keep it at this. You start with an appetizer of the towering onion rings, absolutely banging with the campfire sauce. Get a crispy chicken sandwich with the campfire sauce again for the fries, super simple. And then for the last one, I mean, I don't know, you can get any dessert. Cookie Magic Milkshake's pretty good. So if you never went to Red Robin, you might want to check out the Paz order. It's pretty good. Red Robin sponsor win? Anyways, let's move on. John says, can you tell me why bologna is pronounced bologna and not bologna in my video, please? You know, I don't really know. Yeah, this is a really difficult one to explain. I might have to look this one up. I mean, yeah, I really have no clue for you on this one. I mean, I just kind of knew that it was bologna because my mom said bologna when I was a kid. What if that's what it was? That people just started saying bologna and then kids got raised by saying bologna and now people just don't know. Well, no, I don't know. I don't really have an answer for you, John. But bologna doesn't seem wrong, so why not go with it? Bologna fan, let's go. Majin says, can I hold stuff in between my butt chin? And Nine Socks wants to know this too. I mean, I guess facial hair I can fit in between my butt chin. I don't think it's that big. I mean, I guess I'll put a picture on screen for my last LAN. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe I could. I'd have to try. Nine Socks, are you sus? Absolutely. Holy Shift Kid, my question is, why are you a flop? Well, it takes one to know one. And that is all of the questions that I have for today's video. I really appreciate you guys all for watching. Thank you so much for 6K, and this is just for the future. I really hope that Overwatch 2 is good, and I hope you guys all stick around. If you do want to ask more questions, just leave them in the comments down below, or join my Discord, which will also be in the description. But until next time, I've got to peace out, and Paz out. I'll see you in the next one.